Okay, good evening. Yeah, so welcome to the 11th online Molecules Unlimited meeting with a damage theme. We've got an amazing set of readers tonight. Thanks for coming, and thank you to everyone else who's with us and who's listening later on YouTube or watching later. Um, it's our great pleasure to welcome Louise Longson tonight as our guest reader. Um, she deserves special thanks because she's not feeling too great. So thank you for being here, Louise. Um, so I'll introduce her very shortly, and she's going to um, give us her set, and then we'll pass through the supporting readers, and then at the end we'll just have a little discussion based on some themes that stand out from the evening. So yeah, thanks again. So I'll introduce Louise. So Louise Longson is widely published in print and online. She's very well known in the poetry community, and you can find her work in One Hand Clapping, Fly on the Wall, Nymphs, Ekphrastic Review, Obsessed with Pipework, Dust Magazine, Reach, Modern Haiku, The High Window, and many other places. Allegro, Vain Magazine, and in lots of anthologies. So collections from Indigo Dreams, Broken Sleep, The Candyman's Trumpet, Black Bowl Poetry, for example. And she's written a chapbook called Hanging Fire, that came out with Dreich in 2021, and Songs from the Witch Bottle from Alien Buddha Press in 2022. She won the Carrie Ann Flickinger Memorial Prize in 2023 with her collection These Are Her Thoughts as She Falls, and was Prescott Prize nominated that year. And in 2024, she won the Hedgehog Press Proper Poetry Pamphlet Competition, and the How in the World was published late last year. And actually, its official launch is this Saturday. And I believe there's an upcoming launch going on there. You may know her online poetry salon on the last Saturday of each month, and she's always keen to hear about new readers. Um, Away from poetry, Louise works in mental health recovery in Oxford, and she lives in a small village in West Oxfordshire with a cat and a man. So thank you very much, Louise, and over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really pleased to be here, and I'm sorry if I get a bit coughy and sneezy. I'll try my best not to. I'll also apologise if a large tabby cat comes marauding across the screen at some point, as he usually does. So yeah, I'm sort of semi-pleased that my voice sounds sort of quite grave given the theme of damage. So um hopefully that's kind of appetite for the theme as well. So uh I'm going to read from two of the books that Stephen mentioned. My first bit is going to be from These Are Her Thoughts as She Falls, which is about the sort of damage done by violence, by not being able to speak out and be able to be listened to, damage from loneliness and isolation, and from lack of kindness and being unloved. Um, and the book has a sort of narrative arc which is interspersed by the songs of sort of archetypal women, either from history or myth, or popular culture. And then the second part is going to be from How in the World, which is similar themes of violence, grief, and loss and damage on a global scale. Um, so environmental damage done by pollution, overfishing, deforestation, war, and just general human carelessness. I'm not going to do very many sort of introductory things. I'm just going to sort of read them straight through and hope that you'll kind of get where the narrative is going. And apologies if I have to stop and cough or something. So the first poem is the Song of Pandora. Sometimes it's hard to keep a lid on secrets, that jar breaking, a mind under pressure, needing to know everything, to know why everything flies away and leaves behind this beautiful evil. This is the price of curiosity. All that is left is my tied and muted tongue, with hope hiding under the lip. The next one is How I Find and Lose My Mother. Hope is what keeps her going down the street to the unremarkable house that, like her, needs a new coat of paint to be repointed, given an extension. I only had 12 weeks. She comes with a shopping bag and a social worker. It's a crash course in redemption. Pass and we can leave together. Fail and we will be sent off discreetly in different directions. We were never left alone. Each moment of interaction kept in a detailed logbook. You were to be picked up, hugged, fed, changed into a non-risk situation. But sleep deprived, there were two things I could not keep: my anger at bay and you. Now, 40 years later, she tells me her story. History scrapes me, scribing pain onto my scrimshawed bones. Here I am, unbroken, whole, and as perfect to her as the day she walked away alone. We only have 12 weeks. Thank you. Battered woman. That's what she was called back then, like something you'd get from a chip shop. She was the chicken on a spit with the life cooked out of her. Pasty skin, pied with bruises, ebbing in colour from Baltic blue-black to sick mushy pea green, dried ketchup in her nostrils, split lips, told by her mother she'd made her bed and must lie in it. She could have a cake, but couldn't eat it. Knowing her place is in the queue, waiting her turn until he shouts, "Who's next?" Wrap her up in words. Newspaper stories said she screamed so quietly the neighbours never heard. Nobody saw her until she slipped back into the waters, disappeared with a slap of tail fin and quicksilver flash. I trawl for her in my dreams. Lodger. Even after some time, she was never seen as part of the family. When they remember her at all, it is through a mobled veil of muffled memory, never quite able to recall anything definite about her features, her voice. She lived unremarked, unreal. If she had been a colour, she would have been a drab shade, musty olive green, utility grey of a government building with fly-blown, thick frosted wire glass windows. Later, after she had gone, they cleared away what remained of her vestigial presence, gifting her with unwanted attention, finding hard evidence of her inherent quiddity in an unlikely cupboard where the third best sheets once lived, neatly shelved, 130 pickle jars, empty now, save for clouded vinegar, empty now, save for the full-hearted attempt to preserve something forgotten, a bitter memento of something lost, embalmed with the dead mustard seeds, the slime of baby onions, the faded red pimento. Song of Lot's Wife. Like the city, she is burning on the edge of creation and destruction. The line between them shifts and weakens, drawn in the sand of her story, of mothers, fathers, sisters, and daughters who can only be relied on to fuck things up and run away, turning her pain into sins against angels. These secrets are hidden in her transformed bones. So this is how it ends. A pillar of bitterness, always looking back. I fought. I sometimes won and lost and was human. So this next is from The How in the World, which begins with a quotation from Henry Miller's Black Spring. The world is the mirror of myself dying. Like a toad eating its own skin, I can taste nothingness, the scoured shell emptiness of what will come, a ghostly glamour reflected in an open void, a world under water where only an echo of our flowering will haunt infinity, scenting its shadows like fading breath. How we are the willows that weep by the banks of the river. Ochre brown, ophidian river eyes, serpentines across flooded fields, her swollen belly sick with forever substances, slurry, silage, silt, sewage stinking with degradation that will take 1,000 years. Fragmented by weir, dam, culver, ford, sluice. Here in the once rich water, glass elvers wound sinuous, silver threading their way upstream from the sea. Over abstraction has left us with empty reality, filled only by the green slick of algae and acid. Water, the dead zone, where caddis flies build coffin cases from the debris. In the half-light, on the day war breaks out, red kites circle together against the lowering sun, turning molten bronze, pouring copper red and rust. A solitary black crow sails straight as a bullet home to the oncoming dusk. Swifts rake the skies, untrammeled cries drift and meld in the stillness. In the stream, a diaspora of silver minnows scatters into shadows and dust. Transhumance, which means the movement of sheep. Wily circling dogs bite at their heels, barking with borrowed authority, urging them on to another patch of gated land, fenced in low territory, a holding pen. They swirl and stir, steaming in the shank of daybreak, voices raised in urgent calls to their kin. A refugee flock, driven forward by hunger, pent-up strength and half-forgotten memories of higher, sweeter pastures, where winter violets' purple hearts pierced the soaked earth, clustered like grooms, deep-drenched, deep-rooted, clenched in the humus of decay. This next poem is based on a sort of new form called a cadrelaw. If you don't know what it is, I have a look at gleampoets.org because it's very exciting to have a new form of poetry. And I have to say I really enjoyed writing this one. I'm not very good at form usually, but this was great. So it's called Somewhere in the Shadows. 1. Solid ground always breaks into a climb, only a short way into a cave. Turnings become tighter, Steep rises pull unused muscles, aching dark tears our eyes, and breath becomes a keening as the whetstone cries sharp stalactites. 2. Listen. Orestes' bones intone eternal songs from the deadwood kindling at the bottom of the bark. From the jawbone of a makeshift harp, strings are struck by a war-wasted hero's hand. Look, his spine-cracked skeleton is sculled home to a greener land. 3. In another life, I am this blackbird, perching on a rusting climbing frame, rummaging in undergrowth for chthonic creatures, chattering in the rustle of beeches, scattering burnt umber and bone-brown leaves, skittering under ashes in a breadth of shade, pitched and blown by a wind that screeches. 4. In the 1970s and 1980s, the packages started arriving with fired bullets encased in the pigment. From the evergreen tree, sticky with history, dripping, toxic with time. Clothed in soft-dyed robes of gamboge, he breathed his life away. Colours are sometimes soaked in blood. 5. Somewhere in the shadows, a rose blooms, unnoticed, petals crimson the dark. Unseen flames burn, scarlet wheels of yearning, turning raw, leaving scars at the very heart of us all. These violet wounds agape. And the last one I'm going to read is Spirit Bear. And I was watching a. I haven't got a television, but when I go on holiday, they have televisions, so I watch them sometimes then. And I watched a program, a David Attenborough program, about Spirit Bear. Spirit Bear is actually a black bear, but it's got a genetic something, and so it's white. And there aren't very many of them in British Columbia and Canada. There are about somewhere between 100 and 500 of them, but it isn't considered to be a. It's not rare. It's not considered to be rare or endangered, except you can imagine in a world such as ours, how thin the thread between their existence and non-existence is with deforestation and the overfishing of their staple food, the salmon. But that as something hopeful, the Canadian government are doing amazing things to try and protect them. So this is Spirit Bear. Pale ghost stares through the water, sees the salmon writhe, muscle lithe in river shallows. She is unseen against the bright sky. Today she hunts in the deep hollows where magic hides. Her haunts are dark full of shadows, beneath the cedars where bones of dead fish fertilize the ground. In the brown of dusk, from their nest high in the boughs, ravens curfew call. As she bends to the river, white fur brushes red cedar blooms, breaking the single thread of spider silk attached to what is left of her disappearing world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Louise. That was amazing. And there are some lovely comments for you in the chat, which we can share. And thank you so much for battling through your illness.
Thank you.
That was wonderful to hear those poems. And can we still come along to the launch? Sorry, you're on mute.
I will put a link in the chat.
Yeah, please do. That applies to anyone's books or work, please do share. Right, okay. Feel free to sign off if you want to hang around, Louise. It would be great to have you at the end, but see how you go.
Thank you.
Uh, Beautiful, beautiful work. Thank you. Um, right, for the supporting readers, I'm not sure whether Vicky is here, so Laura, you can start.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Louise. Very thought-provoking, and I learned things and I have lots to go away and read about, which is wonderful. So I'm going to do something a little bit different for my poem. It's a poem called The A to Z of Ergotism. If any of you have ever heard of ergotism, it's a medical condition caused by ergot alkaloids, which come from the ergot fungus. It infects rye, and basically, this would cause epidemics in medieval times. So you would get a whole village that would suddenly just go mad, basically. Um, there were two types. One is convulsive ergotism. That would be the type where they would get sort of psychiatric symptoms, hallucinations, abnormal movements. And then there was another type called gangrenous, which was even worse, where you would get gangrene. So I read about this and I wrote this poem just just thinking of how crazy it must have been in an era when they didn't have an understanding of chemistry or biology and they didn't actually know what was causing this and how scary it must have been. It's an abecedarian, which means that it's written with every line beginning with a different letter of the alphabet in order. The A to Z of ergotism. Aching legs are the first sign, but you simply blame the stars. It'll be several centuries until claviceps purpurea sounds like anything but a prayer. Diarrhea next, presumably just a bit of plague. Entering the second stage, what's your preferred flavour of ergotism? Gangrenous or convulsive? Let's go for convulsive. It can offer the best of both worlds if you hallucinate your limbs falling off. Toxins are now inundating your brain and spinal cord, causing fever, jitters, spasms. The fields beyond your village look kaleidoscopic. Are those stalks of rye waving to you? Luckily, the whole peasantry is in this together. Many of your neighbours are dancing down the street. Oh no, wait. Those are involuntary movements caused by overstimulation of their basal ganglia. Dear God. Paranoia sets in. You question the dancing, question reality, question the rye flower. The flower refuses to respond. You reach peak levels of synaptic serotonin and dopamine. There's a panic stampede on the village green. Unsustainable heart rate, dehydration, vital organs on the brink of failure. Seizures will soon herald the terminal phase of this xenobiotic adventure. No, you can't have the last rites. Your village priest is adrift in the rye fields, watching zodiacs be drawn and redrawn in the infinitesimal sky. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Laura. I think it's me next. So I'm going to read a poem from Permanence, the book that came out with Leslie from Atomic Bohemian. And I'm going to try and share my screen. Hopefully you can see that. Can everyone see that?
Yes, Stephen, I think we can see it.
Yeah, great. Okay, so this is Vape Bonfires. So the book contains lots of poems about plastics and microplastics, but this is about vapes that are disposed of. Disposable does not mean disposable in some scrap heaps. Lost tongues speak. Young vape tubes carry old lithium-ion batteries in satchels with nickel. Plastic cartridges wait, still, in piles for the crushers, hydraulic arms and hands. Pressure make resistance coils burn. The lithium bangs a drum, a series of drums. Polycarbonate flames lick the air as nylon wicks spit fumes. Perhaps the sky is a lung. Fire has many definitions. These ignitions are not like the sun-bright shield of Achilles. The flattened atomizers grimace with red smoke. There's no gleam in too many corners, and there's no glory in waste. Disruption of still brings no peace. Thank you. And now I pass over to Rosie Barrett. You may be on mute, Rosie.
I've got a new machine and I'm still finding my way around it. Okay, good, good, good. Yes. Out of Damage. 12th night, and that's the end of it. Holly, ivy, shiny balls, and the generations of ornaments. Down they come. Some to the attic, greenery to the compost, never to rot down. All but the mistletoe. Every year, optimistically, I take the berries, cut and stab a groove in a fork in the trunk of the old apple tree that produces tons of inedible fruit. I don't want to cut it down. It's an old one, from well before the house. I might want to make cider. One year, the squished white berries took, 2 of them. Now they have sprouted green and fleshy, healthy parasites tapped into this otherwise unloved tree. No berries yet, but soon I hope there will be kisses. Thank you.
I think it's Leslie next. Thank you very much, Rosie.
I think it's me. It's me. I think.
Sorry, yeah, forgive me, Adrienne. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yes, so this one is called Fading. Remember that butterfly we saw before your thoughts began to fade. Its wings were tattered and torn, and its lovely colours had been rinsed by the elements. Still, it surprised us, still a marvel appearing in the gloom of low cloud hanging over the moor, keeping the secret of how far it had travelled, though we knew it had been many miles, seen wars and mountains, oceans and sunsets to die for. Tell us, we cried. But already it was gone, even though I wanted for a moment to hold it gently in the cup of my palms, breathe healing into it, so that its fairy wings would light up as new, the chitin in them holding the colours fresh as paint on a palette, glistening. Thank you, thank you. And the next person is Rachel Burrows.
Hi there, thank you. So Sweetness and Light is my poem. It's about motherhood, essentially. How close I've got three great kids, but I never want to be complacent because it just feels sometimes that everything could be very different very quickly. How similar sweet is to rotten. So this is Sweetness and Light. No one could have dreamt you were sweetness and light. The illuminations that accompanied you into rooms were blue, sunk vein pulsing, pear-dropped breathing. The wrappers flat, silver glinting, but no silver lining. Red, flat lining. The lines were red, sticky laces, UV traces, boiled sweet abscess requiring dressing. Draining, draining. No one knew you were sweetness and light except me, who'd held you, new dawn-born, vernix sugar-coated, and licked you clean, like a kit, in a ward upstairs, as the sun rose. And I'm passing on to Leslie.
Thank you so much. Slight warning about mine. It's about obsessive compulsive disorder. It says, Sestina, I talked to my late mother about housework. Remember all those notes in your hand or pocket scribbled in biro? Your list for the day. Household jobs in order to be tackled with vacuum and duster. If it took till midnight, you would clean until complete. Failure triggered guilt. How I resented your fathomless guilt. I picture the ropey veins on your hand, its dimpled fingertips scoured clean by washing up. The siren call of the list drew your red eyes down to duster level. Even your joints ached for order. At 13, I revolted, tried to order you to stop, come for a walk, but guilt prevailed. You were glued to your duster, and when I tried to take you by the hand, you dodged me, said, I'll finish my list first, and I shouted, you love to clean more than you love me, and your face clean broken too. I know I was out of order, that you were chained to your list as a penance, stymied by guilt for giving away a child. My hand sought yours, touched the fuzz of duster, and how I hated every fucking duster you ever used, wanted to tear you clean away like a bonfire of yellow, hand you the match, but I could not reorder your mind, could not rub out the guilt that made you scrawl each bastard list. Torn off a cereal packet, one worn list is marked Tuesday, noon till 12:10, duster wash. Will I inherit all this guilt, your swollen knees, the urge to clean? You said housework had a certain order and grief was soothed by a task in hand. Listen, my dear, no list can make me clean. There is no guilt in disorder. Your dusters are on fire, lit by my hand. Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm handing over to Carla Woodburn. Carla.
Yeah, I don't think she's here, Leslie. So let's move on to Amanda, I think.
Hello. Hi, can you all hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can.
Yes, good. Okay, I'm very happy to be here with you this evening. I've found all the previous works carry an enormous amount of emotion and image, and thank you for that. This is a poem that, well, you'll find out what it's about, but that I suppose comes from wanting to witness. It's called Dust Screen. My mother tongue is a landscape, my body left behind. I have lost trace of the words. I dreamt of a house with windows, my body intact inside a song, a sea of words. Between here and the screen in there. Gaza is a mirror of wrecking. My wall crumbles under the flight of warplanes. No more windows, no more curtains, no faces, no limbs. A human cry pierces the earth, an echo anchored in a memory. Like the roots of an olive tree, over hundreds of years, grow a girl's spine. The land unburies itself from my soft belly. A hand smooths dust on my cheek, leaving traces of people undoing my face. Bare and humiliated, the earth is no resting place, no sleep against the wall of a tent. Strangers flutter and falter, sweet petals in a breeze. Their souls have collided with mine. I pass on to Miranda Lynn Barnes, I think.
Thank you very much, Amanda. The poem I'm going to read tonight, which is the last poem in the collection that Stephen and I have been working on for quite some time, looking at molecules that are involved in organic dyes and themes of color. The line from earlier from Louise, that colors are sometimes soaked in blood, just kind of resonated with me because this poem looks at the color Tyrian purple and the history of what was required to create that pigment in ancient Phoenicia, which is now Lebanon, and other locations, but primarily there. So the form is based around sorry, let me just get my notes here. The condensed structural formula for the molecule Tyrian purple, and positions and numbers of lines and words are based on the atoms that are part of that molecule in the order of their connections. Ceremonies of waste. The color is not inherent, but requires heat and salt and violence, pulling out the vein, or crushing the mollusk whole. Literal scatterings of shell fragments testify still. Down centuries, neglecting, however, the exhausted eye of the laboring slave. History's myth instead offering the stained mouth of a dog, nymph's demand for a gown dyed a shimmer of blood, or a king taking possession, forbidding all others but royalty. Such is power, demanding custody. Only gods and emperors allowed. Life is cheap, the labor expensive only to the captive. Unnamed hands, bruised silent, lives off-cast. Their story a garment, like the truth, grows more vibrant with air, and light.
Amazing. It was lovely to hear that read, Miranda. It's amazing. Thank you. Well, yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. Some amazing poems and words. Yeah. This isn't just an open 10 minutes or so for if anyone's got any thoughts about what you've heard or any questions. It seems that a variety of forms have been used. Miranda described a very um, intricate form, if you like. And a few people asked in the chat, Louise, about your special form. I wonder what drove you to use that particular form, or
I heard another poet, Merrill D. Smith, uh, read, and I loved the way it was kind of the idea of it is that the each of the five sections seem to be kind of disconnected, but there's this kind of gleaming thread, hence the gleam poets, that kind of links them together. And the idea is that it answers the question, and I'm not sure mine's really a proper cadre, but it sort of answers the question, what do you seek? What do you want? And sort of leaves you with some kind of sense of hope. Um, so yeah, so I just, and I'm, as I say, I'm not, full of admiration for Leslie and Sestina, and I've
Yeah.
never been able to crack that sort of thing. And so it was just, it just, it just appealed to me because you could get lots of different sort of images all in the same poem, and I just found that it felt quite sort of magical to me when I did it and thought, oh, that seems to have worked. And it's very interesting. I would say have a look at the website
Mm.
because it's really good. It's quite a long, it's quite a lengthy. Sorry, cat. Um, Quite a lengthy set of rules. Is the only thing I would say about the Cadre law, but it's just really interesting. And you don't find like a brand new form of poetry coming along every day. So yeah, so that appealed to me.
How do you spell it?
Cadrolor, I think. Don't think it's got an E on the end. Let me just have a look.
Oh,
Oh,
that's great.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
Gleam. I
thank
think I've
you.
put it in the chat. Gleampoets.org.
Mm. I was really impressed by Leslie's Sestina. I'm struggling mightily with a Sestina myself at the moment. I've got the idea, I've got the words, but to get it in so it's not clunky, and yours was not clunky. It was terrific. Really, really good. Yeah. And you can say such a lot because it is obsessive. It's a complete obsession, and it's the one to get your rant really compressed and out. But I'm still struggling. Loved it.
Hmm.
It's really good, isn't it? When the form and the content
Yeah,
actually match and really work well
yeah.
together, like
Yeah,
they
there are
did in
some things like
Leslie.
the
That
villanelle
is
which
just
just go
that is so
round and round.
accomplished.
But
That's
yeah,
such skill.
but it's very different from a villanelle because it doesn't go round and round in a nice way. It's obsessive. It's right from the heart. And my mum was a cleaner. So, yeah.
Hmm. Did you play with other forms, Leslie, or did you go straight into the Sestina?
And it was actually because of a workshop that I did, and the workshop was about form, and it just kind of demanded that we try and write a sestina, and I had never tried before, and I have to say I think it still needs tweaking, but I think it's right that it has to be about something obsessive, because otherwise you can't take in all that repetition. It's just too much. And maybe it is too much, the one I've written, but thank you for those comments. I'm really grateful.
No, I think it's not too much in my view. Um, and no, Laura, you don't have to apologise. You you chose an interesting form too, didn't you? Um,
Oh, the obsidian. And
yeah,
actually, you know what, I have to say, the scientific vocabulary helped in places because there's not that many words in general. You know, if you took the 1,000 most common words that are like most of what we use on a day-to-day basis that aren't jargon, well, not many of them begin with things like X or even A or, Y, Z, So it actually kind of made it easier having a bit of a vocab to tap into.
Ah,
Um,
I think it was admirable. I don't think you need to apologise at all.
Oh, I
no.
thought it was intriguing.
I quite liked at the end and I'm sure the zodiac was chosen for that final sort of Z line, but the image that it was allowed the poem to bring in of, this zodiac sort of, making and erasing itself in the sky was just really magical and poignant way to end that poem. So I thought that worked really lovely.
I think I forgot to say beforehand actually, but um, LSD is an ergot alkali derived substance, so it was a little bit of a reference to the kind of Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds thing, which is kind of an interesting episode in the history of chemistry, I think,
Yeah.
for
It's
better or worse.
entirely my era, though I never dabbled.
Yeah.
Yeah, ergot. We were always warned against keeping our bread too long and disregarding the blue mold. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Any other thoughts? Any thoughts on and everyone's take on damage?
I suppose it's difficult to be positive, isn't it? With the subject matter.
No,
They're all quite dark poems, but what
I,
what what
I,
else could you expect?
I think the opposite, because there is damage, but out of damage, depending on how you approach it, there can be growth. And
Yeah, of
I mean,
course.
I'm the
Oh,
original Pollyanna, so I always try to find the best in things.
yes,
But
yeah,
there can be growth, and
yes.
which is the only way I will get into any group called Molecules Unlimited. because- so there you go.
I was at there's a symposium they have annually called Colour and Poetry. And I was there just a few days ago, actually, which I think Stephen and Miranda have presented there
Last
before.
year, yeah, we presented
Yeah.
last year, I think, yeah.
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 But anyway, they had a little exhibit on the art of kintsugi, which is where it's a Japanese art form, traditional art form, where, if a ceramic vase or bowl or something gets smashed, they will repair it with
Gold.
yes, like a resin and gold,
Beautiful.
just lacquer. I think it's lacquer and gold dust. Yeah. So, and to highlight the damage, not as something to be hidden, but as something that shows, history and use and learning and
Right.
all those. So that maybe you could make it positive with
Absolutely.
that
Now
metaphor.
I have a small willow pattern little bowl that my mother always used to use to put. We are going back to the 50s and 60s. She used to put ginger powder in to go with her lemon and ham starter, right? And I dropped it, and I got it, and I've got to find a friend, and she will do it at some stage, and she's going to kintsugi it for me and put gold dust because I have some gold that can be melted down because you don't do anything else with it, and she's going to do that for me, and I'm looking forward to it because I would hate to throw away that. It's not a very big, not valuable little pot, but it has such memories, and to put it with the gold would just yeah, okay.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. That's an interesting idea. What happens after the damage? Yeah, there are different ways to respond, aren't there, to damage?
Yeah.
Um,
My daughter, she broke when she was about 8. She broke a lovely pot that had been given to us by friends. She was roller skating in the sitting room, as you do when you're 8. And I said to her, "Well, not to worry," and I made a like a ceramic man against a backdrop of a painted rainbow. And that's still, it's not in this room, but it's still on my walls. So that's my poem to damage.
hmm. I think we should all roller skate in the living room. That sounds good fun. Um,
I thought it was really interesting the variety and the spectrum of different subjects. You know, there's emotional damage, there's mental damage, there's physical damage to creatures, there's physical damage to landscapes or ourselves, there's man-made damage, there's natural damage. I just thought there was really a nice spectrum of different approaches to it. And you know, that idea of something always comes from the damage, there can be regrowth. And it's like, or, in the case of these snails that I wrote about, the damage was done to create something very specific. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think there's necessarily a conclusion to that, but I just thought it was a nice observation that I enjoyed the fact that the different perspectives from each of the poems was
Yeah.
really came through. Yeah.
If you lay a hedge, you have to cut 3/4 of the way down the trunk in order to lay it down. And from that comes a proper hedge that will keep stock in the field. And so out of damage comes good things. Sometimes. Not always, but sometimes.
yeah. Well, thanks so much, everyone. I think we could probably draw things to a close. Really enjoyable evening, and congratulations on all your wonderful poems. Thanks very much, Louise,
Yes.
for still
Thank
being
you,
here.
Louise.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
I hope you
So,
feel better.
Thanks.
yeah, get well soon, and
Thank you.
I'll circulate the recording soon.
Thanks very much, Stephen. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you, Stephen. Thank you.
Take care. Bye bye.